Welcome to Poetry and Poets with SueAn Stradling Collins, Director of the Apache County Library District. Today I'm going to talk about novels in verse is what they're called, or stories in verse if you go to look them up. And actually, I don't find a lot of them for adults, so almost all the ones that I'm going to give you examples of are from young adult or juvenile, but they're still wonderful. I've read a good part of what's in front of you, and there's a whole lot more that I didn't bring. So these are all at the St. John's Public Library. We also will have more uploaded at Overdrive after I put in the next order. And so I highly recommend them. They're a very fast read because they're written in poetry or verse form and a variety of topics. So you can find just about anything. If you have a reluctant reader, these might be the way to go to get a young man who may not like reading so much. This is a great basketball story, and so you might want to go with something like that. One of the first or most successful is a book called Out of the Dust. This won the Newbery Award, and this is one of the first novels to win the Newbery Award that was written in verse. This is about the Dust Bowl, about the Depression, and features a young girl who has lost her mother and young brother and lives with her father. And so a lot of emotions in these books, by the way. You've got poetry that they're going to express this in verse and poetry. So there's a lot of emotions in these books, a lot of turmoil, but they usually have happy endings, and there's a lot of growth along the way. So I'm just going to choose a section or two from a few of them to share with you. Basically, each page ends up being, or 2 pages or so, ends up being a separate poem, and yet the story develops as you go. The first one I want to read is called Almost Rain, since in Arizona we're experiencing this, and I thought this explained where we were perfectly. Almost rain. It almost rained Saturday. The clouds hung low over the farm. The air felt thick. It smelled like rain. In town, the sidewalks got damp. That was all. Exactly where we are, unfortunately, right now. So that's Out of the Dust. This one is very popular. The Poet X, great reviews, so forth. She and her brother are twins. Her parents are older. They don't quite understand how she feels about growing up. And so she's trying to express herself. Her twin is extremely intelligent. She is not dumb, but she has other interests. And so it's just her trying to come of age. So a coming of age novel in verse. This is called Final Draft of Assignment 1, What I Actually Turn In. When I turned 12, my twin brother saved up enough lunch money to get me something fancy, a notebook for our birthday. I got him some steel knuckles so he could defend himself, but he used them to conduct electricity for a science project instead. My brother's a genius. The notebook wasn't the regular marble kind most kids use. He bought it from the bookstore. The cover is made of leather, with a woman reaching to the sky etched on the outside, and a bunch of motivational quotes scattered like flower petals throughout the pages. My brother says I don't talk enough, so he hoped this notebook would give me a place to put my thoughts. Every now and then, I dress my thoughts in the clothing of a poem. Try to figure it out if my world changes once I set these words down. This was the first time someone gave me a place to collect my thoughts. In some ways, it seemed like he was saying that my thoughts were important. From that day forward, I've written every single day. Sometimes it seems like writing is the only way I keep from hurting. Beautiful poem, beautiful writing. The Poet X. This one, other words for home. I haven't read this one yet, but I'm going to soon. Again, listen to this is just a not random, I looked through, but I like the message here. I like the way these poems come together. I sometimes worry that there is something wrong with me, that I so badly want to know that that other people see me. But then I think about all the other people who are in this room right now for the exact same reason, and realize my want, my dream, is as big and real and valid as theirs. One by one, we walk onto the stage, we recite our monologue, we sing our song. And one more. This also, I can't remember if it won the actual Newbery or if it was a Newbery Honor Book, but this was also well received. This is about a family that comes to the U.S. They were in, if I remember right, Vietnam. I read it, but it was many years ago that I read it. Yes, they migrate from Vietnam after the war. This one's called Crisscrossed Packs. Pedal, pedal, mother's feet push the sewing machine. The faster she pedals, the faster stitches appear on heavy brown cloth. 2 rectangles make a pack. A long strip makes a handle to be strapped across the wearer's chest. Hours later, the stitches appear in slow motion, the needle a worm laying tiny eggs that sink into brown cloth. The tired worm reproduces much more slowly at the end of the day than at the beginning when mother started. Okay, so just snippets, but if you didn't know there were novels in verse out there, there are, and they are quite delightful, and so I wanted to share that with you today. We hope that you'll visit us next week. Don't know what the subject will be. We'll see you then.